Welcome to the show. In a moment we'll take a look at the latest Southern Steel performance with coach Janine Southby. But first, a wrap of results and tables in both of the professional comps over the weekend. Starting with the Super Rugby action, where the Hurricanes continue to perplex fans and coaches alike. Plenty of talent but lacking in imagination or graft led to their loss to an improving Brumbies. Neither the Reds nor Cheetahs did a lot of defending, making for a try fest that went the hometown way. Quite the opposite in Christchurch, where the two defensive lines were nigh impossible to break down, with the Crusaders doing so just in the nick of time. The Force produced the upset of the round, both in the result and margin, over the Rebels, coming off a high. The Blues were unlucky not to get a bonus point, while the Sharks fought off a late rally by the Lions to pick up all the points. So the Chiefs remain the only Kiwi team in the top six after the round and make the top three by virtue of leading the New Zealand Conference. The Sharks head the table and look convincing doing so. Hard to gauge where everyone sits at the moment with the disparity in the number of games played, but the Lions will be happy leading the chasing pack after starting at very long odds to do well at all. The Blues slipped a few notches and the bottom of the pile makes for ugly reading, as the Crusaders made no progress after their win, whereas the Hurricanes just made no progress on or off the field. One interesting stat of note, just 5 loser bonus points out of 22 games so far, one of which by the Highlanders, so who knows how valuable that will be come season's end. The ANZ Championship results won't lift Kiwi hearts much more than the footy, with no wins taken off Aussie sides yet, though just the one Trans-Tasman clash over the weekend, with the Tactics faring better against the competition favourites than many thought. The Pulse kicked off the round with that win over the Steel that wasn't totally convincing for the Wellington franchise, but you do feel they're working through the gears. The much-hyped Fever are still to prove they aren't the worst Aussie side. The Thunderbirds carried on the good work from the round before, with the last match showing the Magic rebuilding phase is proving a lot more successful than the Mystics one. That win by the Magic propelling them to the top of the ladder, though yet to be tested by those across the water. The unbeaten Aussie teams filling the other playoff spots, with the Swifts justifying their favouritism so far. The Pulse the best of the rest, and the Firebirds look the only likely contenders for semi-final action, even this far out. The Steel in 8th on the mysterious goal differential criteria. So what did coach Janine Southby make of her Chargers' effort in the loss to the Pulse?
A general opinion from people I've spoken to since the game said 100% better than last week. Is that going too far?
I wouldn't say 100%, to be honest, Tom. I would say probably 50%. I think we gave ourselves an opportunity, but we just didn't nail it when we really needed to. And that's, lack of experience and just letting them get into our heads a bit. But yeah. It's definitely better than last week, but I wouldn't go and say it's 100%. If we'd won, I would have said yes.
What particular aspects do you think saw the most improvement?
Oh, definitely attacking play, patience, and just persevering with the ball in hand, as opposed to letting some random passes go that, just said no last week, that were like we were sitting on the sideline completely baffled and puzzled as to who they were passing to. But this week you could see that real intent and the connections had grown, so pleased with that aspect of it.
Hunger, there seemed to be a lot more of that, a lot more energy and passion I felt this week, even from afar.
Oh, absolutely, and that fight that they showed, particularly in the last quarter, was really encouraging, and but we know that at this level, games are won and lost in a couple of goals, and that we need to be a lot smarter and sharper and onto it for a whole game, not just for part of it.
It was an amazing comeback, wasn't it? Because the Pulse looked quite comfortable going into that last quarter.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and look, I think that's where sometimes you get some energy of people coming off the bench. They've been sitting watching, they've seen what they've seen, and they had their opportunities and they can take it. So, I was really pleased with those girls that came off the bench tonight.
Just talk about a couple of those changes. Phoenix looked to be having another good game. Half-time call to remove it. Was it an injury or was that tactics?
We just felt we needed a change in there. Probably, she wasn't playing poorly, but just thought we needed a change and to give someone else that opportunity.
Because we did play, I think, 3 goal keeps in the course of a game. It's unusual to have that sort of turnover in one position, isn't it?
Oh, it is, and but you got to respect they're playing against a world-class goal shooter in Irene, and that was a tough day at the office for our defenders.
It is hard to shut them both down, isn't it? Because quite effective against Irene. Donna, she reigned supreme at times.
Oh, she did, and she's smart and she shot well, and I think she's not afraid to mix it up as well, which I think really kept them going.
It's the fact that all the players know each other so well these days that you factor that into your changes.
Oh, yeah, I guess a little bit. But to be fair, it was just about us and trying to reignite that. We weren't getting the games that we needed to get, and we just thought we needed to try something different, and this was a game to do it.
Shannon came off, had a nasty fall. Was that part of the decision-making?
Not really. I think just to mix it up a little bit, she was guilty of going sideways a little bit at times, and that's something we'd identified last week. And I think Gina came on and punched through the middle a little bit stronger than what Shannon had been, and I think that helped opened it up a little bit more, their checking in. Yes,
it was quite eye-catching from Gina, wasn't it? These players get a half chance. They could be getting a start next week.
Yeah, absolutely. So they've got to keep fighting for it and keep wanting it, and that's what it's all about.
Did see a real boost in your body language in the beginning of that last quarter. Did you think when you got within 4 that it could have been there for the taking?
I did actually. I thought they could, but give credit to the Pulse. They were in that situation last week, and they weren't going to let it happen again.
And Janelle's game, how did you assess that? A full match this time around?
Yeah, look, I think Janelle was a lot stronger than she had been over the last wee while, and she's still got areas in her game she needs to keep growing, but I thought there was some pleasing aspects in that she was a little bit more mobile tonight and very accurate with her release passes. And
up against a top defence, of course, one of the best.
Oh, she is, and Katrina's a really smart player, and she knows how to get around and do things that you don't always see, so I think Janelle handled that pretty well tonight.
And quite a clear lesson that in this competition you really can't trail by 8 or 10. It's a Herculean effort to overcome such a lead.
Oh, it is, and you have runs, but it's being able to sustain that run, and that's what we just couldn't do tonight.
And a very fine line between a close loss and one that could have blown out quite embarrassingly.
Yeah, it was at one stage I was like, oh dear, this could go really pear-shaped. But look, I think the girls, I have belief and belief and confidence that they have the capabilities to do it and to win games and to compete at this level, and I think they're starting to show that now.
And that fight back is a good place to start, isn't it, for next week's match on a real positive note?
Yeah, it is, and that's we've got to go out there and really go for it, and we've got to finish off on the right side of the ledger the next week.
Just wanted to talk briefly about Philippa Finch again. She's like the rock in the middle of the court. You don't muck around with her much. She puts in 100% every time.
She does, doesn't she? And I think she stepped up again this week. And I thought she was very unlucky a couple of times. She got a couple of hands to the ball, and I thought that she got a few harsh calls on her. But she knows she's got to keep working on it.
So looking ahead, you've got Magic next week, so you'll watch their game with interest because they were a bit of a surprise package in the first round.
Yeah, although any team that's got Casey and Liana in it is always going to be really tough. So. And they've got an international shooter in Joe Hart in the back, which is also really tough. So yeah, I mean, we'll just look at that one next week or during the week and have also keep a really close eye on where we're at, and that's the main thing for us.
Has it clarified or clouded your thinking of what you might start with next week, given the way the players off the bench play well?
Probably right at the moment it has, but I need to see how we pull up on Monday and look at what we're coming up against a little bit as well. And see how training goes during the week.
That does seem to be a key thing with the ANZ Championship. You really do have to pick a team to suit your opposition, and you've got some choices now. We do have some choices, which is good, and that it's always good to say that you've got a team of 12 players, and to have all of them at bar one take the court in those first 2 games is great. And I think the youngsters are showing they've got real promise. And the mood in the cap must be lifted because you'd have been a bit down, I think, after week 1. Oh yeah, look, I think that's fair to say, but they're really disappointed they didn't win because that's what they're here to do. But they, I guess, heartened somewhat by our attacking effort tonight.